Rocket Watts has always been an incredible basketball player, but he really got national attention when Lamelo Ball joined SPIRE Academy, and instantly every single starter on this team became a household name. People were just drawn to him, and early on in his and Lamelo's senior year, some people saw him as the better guard than Lamelo was. Well, obviously throughout the season and to present day, we know that's not to be true, but his game was something very special in high school. He reminded me a lot of a young Damian Lillard, and the 6'2 guard was one of the hardest players to guard one-on-one in the entire country. He was confident handling the ball and could create a mile of separation with his go-to step-back jump shot. He was also very athletic for his height, having multiple dunks in a game off of steals in the passing lanes, and I would say this was due to SPIRE being much more loaded than the other teams they were playing, and able to play lackadaisical but also very risky defense and look to jump in the lanes to steal the ball. Looking at his scoring, he definitely had a score-first mindset and often being the leading scorer of the team. In one game, he even went for 64 points, but this wasn't because of a lack of passing ability, and I'm sure throughout watching these highlights, you've already seen several fancy passes that obviously take a ton of skill and advanced court vision. He was a stud, and I could go on and on about how talented he was in high school, but where is he now? Well, he committed to Michigan State University in his senior year and caused a ton of hype for Spartan fans. But there was a cause for concern because in his very first game against number 2 ranked Kentucky, he played in 22 minutes and didn't record a single point or a single rebound and only had 2 assists. And he would really continue to struggle scoring the ball much of his freshman year, which came as a huge surprise because this was the least of his worries coming out of high school. We all thought it would be his defense or something else, but definitely not scoring. But in his last 4 games of his freshman year, all against ranked Big Ten opponents, he turned it on and averaged over 17 points a game. We really started to see him fall into his potential. But this really wouldn't carry over into the next season, and his numbers would actually drop even more. And he would have some games where he could put it together and go for 20 or plus, and also have stretches of games where he would be a non-factor or even a liability when he was out there on the court. And it's hard to directly point out the cause of the inconsistency because the eye test shows you that the technique and the form doesn't change very much, but sometimes he just can't find the bottom of the net, and especially from 3, but which is very surprising because in high school he was a high volume 35% 3-point shooter, and in college he hasn't touched 30% in either of the years he's played so far. He's been able to score off catch and shoot, his signature step back. He also has a killer jab step out of the triple threat position, and he utilizes it a lot, and this sets up his drive. And although he's undersized, he can use soft touch and floaters to get buckets. And again, I don't want to overemphasize this, but he does remind me a ton of Damian Lillard, and I'm sure he studied the game a lot over the years because it definitely shows. But it's also fair to say that he isn't become the player that we thought he was going to be, but now it's a question, is he just not talented enough and not as good as we thought, or he hasn't quite figured it out the next level yet? And I'm going to take the latter on this one because he has so much potential, but he clearly isn't going to be declaring for the draft after this year. But is it too late for him? Absolutely not. He has over 2 years of college eligibility left, and I see him working on his shot selection and learning to play with poise and confidence that he carried in high school. The pace of college basketball is a lot faster, but even though your body is moving faster, your mind shouldn't be moving any faster. The extra practice, training, and repetition should prepare you for every situation because basketball is a game where you play your best when you can just react and not overthink anything. Well, what do you guys think of Rocket Watts so far? Is there anyone else you want me to update you on? Because Lamelo has put a ton of people in the spotlight, and some of the first people that come to mind are Isaiah Jackson at SPIRE and Will Pluma at Chino Hills. Thank you guys so much for watching. Rocket Watts was one of my favorite players to watch on the SPIRE team. He could absolutely light it up, and the 64 game will always be one of my favorite games to go back and watch when I'm pretty bored. But Isaiah Jackson was another person on this team that I really could see going over right now. He's at Kentucky, but how is he doing? And I'm not even sure where Will Plume is at, but he took off after Lamelo got Chino Hills. Thank you guys so much. If you liked the video, leave a like, and if you want to see content like this daily, make sure to subscribe. It helps out the channel a ton. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace.